Well, good morning and welcome to Celebration Sunday. We are so excited that you have joined us this morning. We have lots to celebrate today and lots to get to. As you came in, you probably got one of these interesting looking fandangos. Hold on to it. We're going to get to these later in Kyle's message, so we will remind you, be gentle with them, but hold on to them. They're for later. But for now, I want to invite you to stand as we worship together and we sing about the joy of the Lord.
This is
welcome. This is Celebration Sunday. We are celebrating so much of what God has done, what God is doing, and what God will continue to do. But the truth of all of it is that God is our strength. God is our hope. He is our everything. So as we worship this morning, let's lift his name in praise.
It's not my worship that makes you worthy. God, you are always good. With or without my song, you're still holy. God, you are always good. I can't help hallelujah. I've gotta let it out. You've never needed my voice to cry holy. I get to say you're good. With my whole heart, sing hallelujah. I get to sing it forever. Louder I sing hallelujah, hallelujah. Halle, halle, halle. Halle, halle, halle. It's not my worship that makes you worthy. God, you are always good. With or without my song, you're still holy. God, you are always good. I had 10,000 tongues, still couldn't say enough. You've never needed my gifts to be worthy. I get to say you're good. With my whole heart, sing hallelujah. I get to sing it forever. Louder I sing hallelujah, hallelujah. With my whole heart, sing hallelujah. I get to sing it forever. Louder I sing hallelujah, hallelujah. Your goodness will be. Your goodness has never depended on me. Hallelujah in the highest. You are good. Your goodness has been, your goodness will be. Your goodness has never depended on me. Hallelujah in the highest. You are good. Your goodness has been, your goodness will be. Your goodness has never depended on me. Hallelujah in the highest. You are good. Your goodness has been, your goodness will be. Your goodness has never depended on me. Hallelujah in the highest. You are good. With my whole heart, sing hallelujah. I get to sing it forever. Louder I sing hallelujah, hallelujah. With my whole heart, sing hallelujah. I get to sing it forever. Louder I sing hallelujah, hallelujah. Your goodness has been, your
we're going to celebrate. We're going to declare this to the Lord. Let's sing this out. Let's sing his praise. Come on. Remember those walls that we called sin and shame. They were like prisons that we couldn't escape. But he came and he died and he rose. Those walls are rubble now. Remember those giants we called death and grave. They were like mountains that stood in our way. But he came and he died and he rose. Those giants are dead now. And this is our God, this is who he is. He loves us. And this is our God, this is what he does. He saves us. He bore the cross, beat the grave. Let heaven and earth proclaim. This is our God, King Jesus. Come on, if you believe that this morning, let's sing. Remember that fear that took our breath away. Faith so weak that we could barely pray. But he heard every word, every whisper. And now those altars in the wilderness, they tell his story, his faithfulness. Never once has he failed, and he never will. This is our God, this is who he is. He loves us. And this is our God, this is what he does. He saves us. He bore the cross, beat the grave. Let heaven and earth proclaim. This is our God, King Jesus. Who pulled me out of that pit? He did, he did. Who paid for all of our sin? Nobody but Jesus. Who pulled me out of that pit? He did, he did. Who paid for all of our sin? Nobody but Jesus. Who rescued me from that grave? Yahweh, Yahweh. Who gets the glory and praise? Nobody but Jesus. Who rescued me from that grave? Yahweh, Yahweh. Who gets the glory and praise? Nobody but him. This is our God, this is who he is. He loves us. And this is our God, this is what he does. He saves us. He bore the cross, beat the grave. Let heaven and earth proclaim. This is our God, King Jesus. He bore the cross, he beat the grave. Let heaven and earth proclaim. This is our God, King Jesus. And this is our God. Come on, let's give some praise to Yahweh this morning. Let's lift it up.
God, this morning we declare and we proclaim the love that you give us through your Son, Jesus Christ. So this morning, we just want to believe, God, that you can do anything that you want through this church, through each one of us. We want to just be open to what it is that you have for us. So help us to believe. Help us to know, God, that you're in control. You want to use us to further your kingdom. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here. working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are a way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. A way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every line. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, you're mending every heart. I worship you. Come on, church, sing this out. I worship you. You are a way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. A way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. A way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Yeah. A way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Oh. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. Come on, church, sing this out. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. A way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Oh, way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Lift it up, church. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Give you our praise, God. Go ahead and be seated. Welcome to Celebration Sunday. We are so glad that you are here with us. If you're brand new and you're thinking, what are you celebrating? What is this all about? You're going to be hearing about it all morning. Now, when you came in, you should have received one of these, right? If you didn't, you're going to miss out on the fun. And you're going to want one of these, but please hold on to it because we're not going to use them till later, okay? So I want to make sure you hold on to these, but now is not the time to be playing with those, all right? If I haven't met you, my name is Roy Conover. I'm the care pastor here. We are so glad that you've joined us. If you happen to be brand new, we have a gift for you. If you stop out in the lobby, there is a banner out there that says new, and you will get not only a gift, but helpful information about taking some next steps. If you've been here for any other length of time, there's a banner that says Connect. Will help you get connected to a small group or maybe serving in some capacity. You can stop by there, and they will also help you take some next steps. Now, as we're celebrating today, I always pause whenever I celebrate because I think about God's goodness. And here, one of the things we do regularly is we celebrate giving because it is at the very heart of who God is. He gave us his son. In the Bible, he tells us to be a cheerful giver. If you came prepared to give today, you can do that. We've got boxes on the back walls, and you can go ahead and drop an offering in there, or you can use the Church Center app and click the give button and follow those easy instructions. However is convenient for you, mail it into the church office. But we appreciate you partnering with us to accomplish God's purposes here in this valley and around the world. Now, speaking of giving, this, of course, is the time of giving, and we partner with Northern Nevada Dream Center. Every year, we do these Christmas bags. So this year, our hope is to be able to collect a couple hundred of these for people who are in need. And so after the gathering, if you go out these doors, and then right to my right, your left, will be the merch shop. And those windows will be open. You can grab a bag. But not only do we want to feed people this Christmas, we also want to be able to give toys. So we've got these cards. I've got too much, man. It's ridiculous. So we've got these cards. They're out on a stand out there. Just grab one for a boy or a girl. Their ages are on here. And then on the back, it gives some suggestions of possible gifts that you can give. And so we're going to collect all of these, the bags and the toys that you bring back. Just follow all the instructions. Bring those back on December 7th, and then we'll get them distributed the following weekend in the community, all of our surrounding communities. So thank you for partnering with us in that. And then lastly, I want to make sure you're aware, coming up December 5th, we do this every year. We do a remembrance service. We know the holidays can be a real challenge because life is sometimes hard, and when we've had people in our life that are no longer here, that we've loved and that we have lost, we want to make sure to be able to celebrate them. So we do that at a remembrance service. You just need to register so that we can get your loved one's name registered so that we can read their name during the service. So encourage you to please go online and register for that service. Now, I want to encourage you to please stand up and maybe find someone you didn't come with, and I'm curious to know, which is the favorite holiday? Is it Thanksgiving or is it Christmas? Come on, stand up.
I didn't even know there was a Thanksgiving. It's already Christmas time in my house. Seems like a very easy choice. I don't know any Thanksgiving songs. I know lots of Christmas songs. Very clear who the winner is. Hey, if we haven't met, my name is Kyle. Good to be here with you today. Today is Celebration Sunday, which is very exciting. We've got some festivities. I've got a party hat. My head is way bigger than this. I don't know why they gave me this little thing, but it's awesome. Pretty cool. And if you haven't gotten to connect with me, maybe in the lobby or somewhere else, I would love to do that with you. Our church is large enough. I don't get to say hi to everybody individually. And so one of the ways I try to connect with people is through social media, either on Instagram or on Facebook. It's a great way to message me. A lot of people have asked me for prayer or just kind of some updates. Again, the cat memes continue to come despite my talking about do not send me these anymore. I feel spiteful at this time, but it's okay. It's a love. I get that. So today we're in the ending of a series that we have been calling More Than Us. And today we're going to be talking about more than we asked. And if you know anything about how someone prepares a talk, a lot of times their intro is very, very important. It's because today is Celebration Sunday. There are balloons here. There's party hats. I was really thinking about a party story that I had, and I kept thinking, and 2 weeks passed, and I was like, why don't I have any party stories? And I realized I never got invited to parties growing up. And I was just like, this is so sad. But then like in high school and in college, I realized I was so translucently white that I was almost see-through. At one point, I was missing a tooth because my tooth was way up here. I had braces all the time. I had acne. I stepped outside, immediately burnt to a crisp. It was terrible. My hair was bad, and I played water polo. Is that the first person that you say, you know what, let's invite this guy to a party? He sounds so much fun. And I realized I never got invited to a party, so I don't have an illustration of parties, but I do have an illustration about a question. And so today we're talking about more than we asked. Have you ever asked God for anything? Anything. You probably have. Even if you're not a Christian, when I was not a Christian, I still asked God for things. I thought, man, if you exist and if you love me or if you just want to give me good stuff, I got a list. Now, the interesting thing is, have you ever asked God for something and years later were so grateful you didn't get that? So many more of my prayers of like, I asked for something. I was like, I'd like to be with this person. I'd like to have this job. And God always gave me more and better than I asked for. And that's kind of the subject of today's message, is God, I believe, gives us more than we ask for. It's often better, though we don't see it at the time. It's multiplied often more than we ask. Maybe our asks are sometimes too small. I know mine are. And as a church, we wanted to ask God for some things during this initiative, and we believe He has given us more than we asked for. So today is the last of our Nehemiah series. And one of our wonderful staff members gave us a wonderful stat that I have to share. Her name is Tracy. Did you know it took them 52 days to build the wall? Do you know how many days we've been on this series? Almost 52 exactly, which is really cool. So we're a biblical church, in case you didn't know that, biblical church. So today is the last teaching from Nehemiah. It's not the end of the book, but it's one of the most important parts of the book because it's the day that everybody celebrates. And so we wanted to end Celebration Sunday with the same mindset and energy that Nehemiah and his people asked for. If you're just joining us and you're like, don't know who Nehemiah was, don't know where he's at, I'll give you a quick synopsis. Nehemiah was a cupbearer to the king in Persia, and God puts on his heart after his brothers come in and say, hey, Jerusalem is in ruins. His heart is broken, and inside he asks some questions, and he asks his brother basically these two things. Nehemiah asks these two questions. How is Jerusalem? And how are its people? So his brother comes in, gives a report, hey, bad news, big bro, or brah back then. Bad news, Jerusalem's not going great. And so Nehemiah in his mind cares about these two questions. How is the city and how are its people? And you would think that this would be a question he could ask God. Hey, God, how are your people and how is the city? But he doesn't ask that question. In fact, he asks a very different question early on in Nehemiah. God breaks his heart for this. He wants to go and do something. He spends many days, about 2 months or so, fasting and praying. And then he finally asks God a question. And it's not the question that you and I maybe would think. Some people might think this question is actually too small. Some people might think it's just the first step. You know, if I were in this situation, I might ask a question like, God, will you help me with the people in Jerusalem? And will you help me with the city itself? But this is not the question that Nehemiah asks. Here's what he asks in Nehemiah chapter 1. He's standing before the king. The king notices his countenance is a little bit down, and the king says, hey, what's going on? And here's the question that Nehemiah asks God before he talks to the king. You can put that up there. Please, Lord, let your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant. He's talking about himself. And to that of your servants who delight in your name. And give your servant success today and grant him compassion in the presence of this man. His question was simply, help me in this moment, God. Right before this king, this is where we start. Give me success with this man, this Persian king, who has the power to send me or keep me or kill me or let me be alive. Just give me success here. And it's amazing how much more God did than Nehemiah had asked for. And maybe he asked God a bunch of other questions. This is just the one that's recorded, the first question that Nehemiah asks of God. And then God takes him on this incredible journey. He leads him over to Jerusalem. He gives him, through the Persian kings, letters of recommendation. He gives him supplies, and he gives him a heart to be able to go do this. And so Nehemiah goes into Jerusalem. He rallies people. They begin to build the wall, and there's all sorts of danger. Like every day, there are armies in the vicinity who are looking at them and saying, don't build the wall. We'll come and harm you. And kids and women and children and old people and young and people who are in manual labor and people who are in business, they all banded together and they built the wall in the midst of danger. And then you get towards the end of the Nehemiah and the project is finished. And that's what I want to concentrate on today. So Nehemiah chapter 12, verse 27 talks about the finishing of the wall. Or not the finishing of the wall. It is the completion and the celebration. Here's what it says. At the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, they sent for the Levites wherever they lived. And they brought them to Jerusalem to celebrate the joyous dedication with thanksgiving and singing, accompanied by cymbals and harps and lyres. The singers gathered from the region around Jerusalem, from the settlements of the Zuv, from Beth Gilgal, and from the fields of Geba. There's challenges sometimes. And the fields of Geba and Asmavev, for they had built settlements for themselves around Jerusalem. Verse 30. After the priests and Levites had purified themselves, they purified the people, the city gates, and the wall. So they're essentially preparing for the party. They wanted to make sure that their entire lives, their physical bodies, their minds, and everything were prepared to celebrate. They didn't just go outside and be like, put on your best clothes, bring out the punch. They're just like, we need to make sure our hearts and our minds continually are after God in order to celebrate well. And then Nehemiah, first person perspective, verse 31, talks about what he did to lead this celebration. He says, then I brought the leaders of Judah on top of the wall. I appointed 2 large processions that gave thanks. Now think about this. He put them on top of the wall. He didn't just say, hey, open the gates, let's go outside, let's look back at our work. He says, no, we're going to go to the highest place in our city. And we don't know if they actually walked on the wall. The interesting thing behind this is at one point, one of the people who was trying to threaten them and verbally assault them and intimidate them said, even a fox, the lightest of animals, will never be able to walk on the wall that you build because it's not going to be sturdy enough. Just give up. And Nehemiah's like, well, I'll show this guy. I'm going to bring everybody in the city and put them up on the wall. And so they are all standing up on the wall. And here's what he says. He says, I divided them into two parties. One went to the right on the wall. One went to the right on the wall toward the dung gate. He gave people the poop gate. It's like, so thank you so much, Nehemiah, for the honor of going towards the poop gate. Man, I'm so glad you're not writing this down so everybody will know that our party was going towards the poop gate. And here we are, thousands of years later, still reading about it. Poor guys. Hoshea and half the leaders of Judah followed, among them Ezra, who read the law, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, Jeremiah. And then some of the priests, verse 35, some of the priests, sons with trumpets, Zechariah, son of Jonathan, you can read a bunch of those names, as well as all of his relatives. You can go to the next one. Shemaiah, Azrael, a lot of people. Nehemiah constantly wanted to give credit for the people who went with him, even in times of celebration. I've never gone to a party. We already know this. You could stop that period, but I'm going to put a comma there. I've never gone to a party where they take roll. Hey, who are you? Okay, you're letting in. Unless it's an exclusive club, which also never been there. So, this is not a cry for help. Don't worry. I'm an introvert. It's fine. Hananiah, with the musical instruments of David, the man of God, Ezra, as a scribe, went in front of them. And at the fountain gate, they climbed the steps of the city of David and on the ascent of the wall and went above the house of David to the water gate on the east. The second Thanksgiving procession, that was just the first group, the second Thanksgiving procession went to the left. So they went this way. Some people went to the dung gate that way. Some people went to the other way. And I, Nehemiah, followed it with the other half of the people among the top of the wall, past the tower of the ovens to the broad wall, above Ephraim gate and by the old. He's given you kind of like places to kind of visualize if you knew where they were at that time. Most of us were like, don't know where the fish gate is, sorry. Tower of Hananel to the sheep gate. They stopped at the gate of the guard. And the two Thanksgiving parties stood in the house of God. So at some point, he leads them on this journey. He says, hey, one of you should go right and one of you should go left. And I want you to look at all that God has done. I want you to see the boundaries of God's faithfulness to us. I want you to walk and look out on the city that you helped restore. Because prior to this, they not only built the wall, they had to invite people back, they were repopulating the city, and it was time to celebrate all that they had done. You know, I imagine as they're up there, you can't help but remember what things were like. Have you ever done a project in your house or outside, and then a year later, you're like, I don't even remember what that looked like. But the time you're doing the project, the week later, the month later, you look back, do you remember what this backyard looked like before we put this in? Do you remember before we painted this room in our house, what it looked like? Do you remember? And I imagine Nehemiah must have taken these people and don't forget how we got here. He could have pointed down. He said, this wall is really high. But do you remember when it was this high? Do you remember when your kids and your wives and your relatives stood guard while people threatened us? Do you remember that we were in it together and no one believed in us but God? Do you remember sacrificing your time and your resources? Do you remember giving to this wall? Do you remember moving in from other places? Do you remember that this was so different, but that our God had led us to this? Do you remember how different this was? And the people could look and be on top of the wall and look out. Do you remember that kingdom over there who came in our face and said, you'll never complete this? And here we are, 52 days later, praising God for what he did. You can go to the next slide. He continues to talk about all of these people, Elikiah, Messiah, Zechariah, their trumpets, Ezra, all the sort of stuff. And then the singers sang with Jezreel as the leader. I started this series with the next verse because I wanted us to get to a place where we could look back, just like Nehemiah and the people he led, and celebrate what God had done. The next verse, in my opinion, is the pivotal moment in the book of Nehemiah, outside the first chapter. The first chapter showcases the need, it showcases the desire of a leader willing to go forward, the danger that he was in, the challenges of the people who all got together, ordinary men, women, and children, who all came together because God had asked them to rebuild a wall. And little did they know he was really rebuilding them as a people. I started this series 8 weeks ago with the following verse because I wanted us as a church to look back and to say, can you imagine all that God is going to do through us? So here's the verse. Number 43. On that day, they offered great sacrifices. Remember, they had just toured the place. Nehemiah had brought them up on the wall. He gave them a vision 52 days ago. They were standing upon the reality of what God had done. They realized their sacrifices had all paid off and their faithfulness, but it was time to party. So on that day, they offered great sacrifices and they rejoiced. They shouted loudly because of what? Their effort? That was important. That was to be honored, and Nehemiah did a great job of that. He wrote their names down in this book that you and I now get to read. But they rejoiced because God had given them great joy. It was their joy to willingly go into danger, to sacrifice their time and their resources and their effort, to put themselves on the line because God had called them to, and they knew He was with them. And then to stand at the finish line and to go, oh my gosh, God was for sure in this. All they could do was, just like we did a few minutes ago, is lift up their voices and give great praise and joy to God. The women and the children celebrated because they had a part. They were not behind-the-scenes people. In the story of Nehemiah, one of the fascinating and wonderful things about it is the whole family participated. The kids could say, I put that rock in that wall. I helped put up this gate. And the women and the old people and the people who couldn't do much, like they all got to say, that was me too. And Jerusalem's rejoicing was heard far away. They stand up on this wall. They go to the house of God. They yell so loudly that other people are like, are they having a party again? Like we keep telling those Jerusalem people, it's too late for this. Call the cops. Which is a very slow process of camels going, can you visualize this? It's pretty fun. It's just like, we'll get there tomorrow, you know? So other cities visually watched the walls going up, and now they heard the celebration. And it says that even other people, even other cities realized that God was in this, and they lost their ability to intimidate them because God was really behind it. So remember, the title of this message is More Than We Asked. So the question is, what has our church asked? This is the question that I believe we've been asking for a while. We've asked, hey God, will you help us take the gospel to as many people as possible? Now, on its face, this is a fantastic question, is it not? Like you would think that as Christians, there is no greater purpose in our life than to take the hope of Jesus to people who do not have it. The Bible describes a life without Christ as that of slavery, something that probably meant a lot to them, maybe more than it does to us today. Physical, but they meant spiritual bondage. The idea that people would live without Jesus means that they are a slave to something else. And the Bible teaches us that that slavery is to sin itself. And that Satan is after the world, their souls, their very lives. So you would think that this could be the greatest question that you could ask God. God, will you help us take the gospel to as many people as possible? I don't know how God has wired you, but as a former atheist myself, who used to sit where you are, and I would take notes, and I would come to the pastor afterwards. It was like, your preposition was off. This point didn't make sense. This wasn't clear. You don't know the names of those people. You flew right by that guy. You know, like, I would just ridicule them. I was like, if I could only reach a person like that, if our church could be like that. God has wired me to go and evangelize and to reach the people who do not have a hope in Jesus Christ. And again, on its surface, you're like, isn't that the goal? It's only half the goal. Because if you read Matthew 28, Jesus tells them to what? To make disciples. To make disciples. This question does not include that. I thought for years this was the best question we could ask. And wouldn't you know it, God always gives us more than we ask for. And along the process, in my brain going, how do we reach people who don't know Jesus? He goes, but what happens when they say yes? Because they still need help and time in investment. There's still so much to learn. I mean, to think about it a different way, if you give someone who has been a slave their entire life freedom, but never teach them how to live, you've only solved half the problem. So God has given us more than we asked for, because in wanting to reach people with the hope of Christ, He has reminded us and given us great staff members and the desire to help make disciples, because we believe when Jesus comes back, He will not ask, how many people did you save? That's His job. We don't do that. He says, in our opinion, how many disciples did you make? So even though we asked this question, God has given us more than we asked by putting on our hearts to not only reach people with the hope of Christ, but to teach them to be like Him, to say, not only are you free, but here's what it's like to live a life of joy and faithfulness to Him. So 3 things real quick, just to bring this story back to you, is I want to share a few things real quick, just from the story and just kind of to mirror our time today. Number 1 is you have greatly sacrificed. Greatly sacrificed. One of the joys of my time during these whole 8 weeks is I've met with a bunch of people. I've done over 50 one-on-ones. I've done 12 or 13 meetings with our staff members. I've met with hundreds of people. And what I love about our church is getting to hear the stories of people who have greatly sacrificed. No names, but just one story that comes to mind. A couple was saying, hey, we want to give to this commitment. We want to make sure that more than us happens. And they talked as a couple, and one of them said, hey, we'd like to give X amount of dollars. I don't know what it is, don't want to know. But they came back to me and they said, we had a discussion, and one of us said, we'd like to give this much. And the other person said, you know what? I was thinking double that. And so they together as a couple, without any outside influence, decided that what they gave wasn't enough. And so they decided to double what they wanted to give. Also, God has given you great joy. A couple people I have talked to have been here long enough at this church that they've seen us do something like a campaign. It's a way of saying, hey, we believe God is calling us to do something more. Will you help us by giving your time, your talent, your treasure? And a couple had been here, and one of them basically said, we remember giving to the last one. And I am so excited to give to this one. They were joyous about it. They didn't say, all right, Pastor, this is what you need. We'll give it. Not joyful, right? Instead, through no impact on myself, they just said, look, we are so glad for what God is doing. Number 3, your rejoicing will be heard by others. It already has. I got to meet with some people. We've been talking about people who are ones, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And every once in a while I get to meet one of these ones. So one is just a person that you know and love and care about if you go to our church and you want to introduce them to Jesus. You want them to have the hope of Jesus. But maybe they're not there yet, which is fine. I've totally been there. You're some of my favorite people. And some of them come to this church because of you. That your marriages, your life, your time, and this person happened to, how are you so happy all the time? Your joy is being heard by others, and they're curious. And maybe you're curious about Jesus because they look at their Christian people in their life and you said, you have something that I do not have. So you've done all of these. You've sacrificed greatly. God has given you great joy, and your rejoicing is heard and will continue to be heard by others. Now, just some practical stuff before we get to the celebration part. And mostly we're doing this because a lot of you have asked me. You've asked me a lot of questions about how and what. How do I do this and what do I do? How do I do this and what do I do? We're going to end today with celebration, but I want to give you a little bit of directions and to give it to all of you at once so you don't email me, okay? So the first thing, you can show the next slide on there. There's something called an online commitment card. Some of you have not made this commitment yet. No pressure. This is you, between you and God. You've probably heard me say this, is that I'm not going to ask you to give. I'm going to ask you to ask God. That's between you and Him. But some of you have said, I haven't turned this in. I maybe want to do it. Or maybe over the next coming weeks, and maybe because we're celebrating today, you're like, I want to join. Or maybe you just join here today, and you're like, this sounds kind of awesome. I'll give something. Well, this is one of the ways to do that. There's an online commitment card. you can go to our website, click on the upper right that says More Than Us. It'll take you to a commitment card, and you can fill it out if you want to join us. Awesome. You can go to the next slide for me. This is also one of the ways you can do it. We ask for a couple different things. We want to make sure people know that this is not just about money, which we're going to get to in just a second. We want people to know that the object of our desire is God himself. And his desire is for us to take the gospel to as many people as possible and to make disciples. Both of those are people-based, which means there's a space in this commitment card for us to look and say, who are the people that we know and love, that God knows and loves, that we hope that they will know and love him at some point? Who are the people we want to only give the freedom and hope in Jesus Christ, but to help them be disciples of Jesus Christ so that their life will be one of impact and great joy? So if you've never committed, answer the phone, then commit. Okay? That's probably a person calling to see how they can commit. I appreciate their commitment. So you can do that, you can commit. Now, part of the reason we're here today is to celebrate where we are so far. I've been telling our staff this is the end of the starting line. Our commitments and our desire is over the next 2 years to do the same thing that Nehemiah and his contemporaries did. To look back 2 years from now and to say, what could we celebrate that God did in our lives? And what I want to share with you is I want to share with you the results so far. Again, today is not the ending point. You're going to get lots of updates. There'll be people that join our church. Maybe you're still thinking and pray about it. You'll make a commitment later on. That's totally going to happen over the next 2 years. So I wanted to share with you where we are so far. Can we put the first one up there? There are 239 ones that we're investing in. If you don't know, those are the people that you have said, I hope they come to know and love Jesus Christ. And I hope that they find the hope that is only found in him. And I hope that someday they will mirror their lives around him in their marriages and their parenting, and their very lives will get better. And we brought a few visual representations. If you see all the balloons at my feet and the arch behind me, our wonderful staff and volunteers came in on a Saturday and wrote the names down of everyone on all of these balloons. Your ones are up here. And just for a different visual, do you guys have one of these near you? If you have one of these, would you hold it? Or would you stand up? Just real quick. I won't make you do anything else. Will you hold it and will you stand up? Will you hold it and will you stand up? This is how many people that we're praying for. This is how many people. You can go ahead and sit down. Thank you so much. Can you imagine that many people coming to know and love Jesus Christ and finding the hope found in him? Can you imagine looking to your right or to your left in an empty seat and you're one sitting in that chair with you at church? We'd have to buy more chairs, which is kind of awesome, which is awesome. Number 2 thing we're celebrating is 140 families who made contributions. We've said all throughout this series that it's not about equal contribution, but equal sacrifice. For some people, giving $10 is a lot. For some people, giving $10,000 is a lot. And there's everything in between. And we wanted to honor every person, every family who has said yes to the More Than Us initiative because they gave or committed or will give to this commitment. All of this counts, whether it's $5 or $5,000 or more. All of it counts and all of it's needed. Jesus tells a very quick story about the widow with 2 minas, essentially 2 pennies. And he praises her generosity because he said she gave from the depths of what she did not have. She sacrificed and had to go without something in order to honor God. And so thank you. If you are part of those 140 families, thank you so much. This is a great starting point. And the final number, you can put that up there, is you've already pledged over $1 million for the MTU, which is cool. There's all sorts of statistics about this. I won't bore you with that. But what a fantastic start 2/3 of the way there in 8 weeks, which is amazing. And so we wanted to tell you thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we also wanted to say what a great starting point. That like Nehemiah, we can stand and look at what God's doing. And 2 years from now, we're going to celebrate as well. But we're going to start today. So you should have gotten one of these when you came in. I'm going to give you very clear directions, okay? Put it on your finger. If you like it, you should have put a ring on it. Okay, don't get that reference, okay? So put it on your finger, and in a minute we're going to ask you, you can tear off the top right now, okay? Tear off the top so you can expose some of this stuff. So what's going to happen is I'm going to say, do not do this yet. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to shout more than us, and we're going to throw it, okay? But let's stand for this part. Let's stand. Let's do this. Find someone you don't like and throw it in their direction. Ready? Thank you. Ready? 1, 2, 3. More than us. Woo! Thank you so much for making this possible. There is cake outside. Make sure you eat it. Have a great Sunday.